welcome everybody. I was asked to share something about my vision on teaching and also about my activities in the honors program. So I try to make a little bit of a diverse talk about my own experience and how I look at education in general. So that means I will give examples and in between some background things. I will start sharing my screen for now. I think everybody can see now. So as Jeroen already mentioned, I'm from Groningen, so of course I would like to give you a little bit of a view of Groningen first to get a start. And actually I chose specifically this picture because quite a bit of my academic career is visible in this one picture, because I did my Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Sciences in the building that I outlined with the arrow, and I also did a top master in Medical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, which also makes me an honor student myself, so I've experienced this kind of education. Then I followed up my PhD a little bit next door at the University Medical Center of Groningen, and then I made a relatively big leap to become a teacher at the other end of town at the Hanze University of Applied Sciences, and I mainly teach in the area of medical diagnostics. And as of April this year, I'm also the teacher of the year, which is kind of a new experience to me. So generally speaking, what I want to do as a teacher is actually something that's very basic, and I think we all share, which is we want students to obtain knowledge and skills. I want to have them understand what the impact is of this knowledge and skills. I want them to apply it in a meaningful environment, and I want them to grow and develop their personal and professional skills. So it's actually the whole package of what I aim to do with my students. How do I do this more specifically? Because of course this is very basic and everybody says, well, I do that, so how do I do that? Well, in my transfer of knowledge and skills, I really use a lot of blended learning in very diverse and interactive ways. And because in between I want them to understand what the impact is, it's really interwoven in my lectures. I give examples and exercises from real life and we look at them, and they come with articles from the news, or I share articles like, hey, did you see the news last night? There was something in it that has to do with our course. And this way give them some sense of what they are learning is real, even if it's just basic mathematics of chemistry. You can really make them feel that it matters what they learn. Then I want to apply that knowledge and skills in a meaningful environment. Now, because I'm also teaching in the lab, of course, we have the meaningful environment around the students quite regularly already, yet we still see quite a lot of difference between the laboratories at our school and the laboratories where eventually the students are working, especially probably you've seen in the news for Corona a lot of images of highly automated labs with robots everywhere, and there's just some technicians walking around. Those are my students, but we don't have those machines in our own laboratories. We do everything by hand. So if we want to give them a sense of how this works and what the connection is between what we teach them to do by hand and what the machine will do later on, we've actually developed a new activity in our curriculum, which is a work floor simulation, where students are going to build up a real laboratory in our lab, and they get patient samples and they have to call the doctor and sort out all sorts of problems that really have to do with the realistic situations. They get called by a patient who tries to get his results, for example. So we really try to make it as meaningful and as close to reality as possible, so that they can really practice also basic things like answering the phone, or when do you call for help, or when can you fix it yourself, to get that balance in there. And then when it comes to grow and development of their personal and professional skills, I'm coaching students individually. I do group meetings, so also in there I think it's really great to see and help students go through the phase of early adulthood, of getting to know yourself, your talent, what you want to do in the world, where you want to go. I think it's a great journey to follow with the students. As an honors teacher, though, my perspectives are different. So the focus is very little on obtaining knowledge and skills when I'm working as an honors teacher, and much more on the three different aspects, because honors students find their way with knowledge and skills. They will find them and exercise themselves, and I don't have a lot of activities going on in that area, but the other three are just much more important in the honors education. So we make multidisciplinary modules like ethics and critical thinking. I will tell you a little bit more about this later, and really focus with the students of what your impact and how you, with your talent you can impact on the world around you. Um, Also, we do a lot of applications in meaningful environments because we do a lot of interdisciplinary projects with our honors students, with real life customers. So they go visit places and do real projects for real people. So definitely there's an even stronger sense of a meaningful environment in our honors program. And of course, when it comes to growth and development in the honors program, we coach our students on talent development. We put them out of their comfort zone a lot. We give them a lot of autonomy to choose their own learning path and to reflect on it. And also, I think a very important part of honors, a lot of things fail in honors because they are pioneering and not everything is a safe project that they do. But I think it's more and more important from this that they learn from their mistakes and how they learn how to persevere. So and then Corona came and we had the pandemic, and this changed our education in a lot of ways. So I would like to focus a little bit about the concept that happened and then see how this worked for the honors education specifically. So when we had this first lockdown in the Netherlands, all of a sudden everything was down. We didn't go to school from one day to the other, which was really a shock. And what actually happened, and I would like to draw that in the screen for you, is that suddenly we had the teachers and we had the students, and usually they meet each other in the hallway in the classrooms and they come together, and all of a sudden all of them were just separated. They were on islands in their own house, and first thing that everybody aimed to do was how do we get from teachers to the students. So we really tried to get first these connections. So this is the first thing that happened, is we tried as teachers to get connections to the students. So we saw a lot of recordings where students were trying to, where teachers were trying to get knowledge and skills to the students, and then they started to complain, but it feels like I'm talking into a black hole because nothing is coming back from the students. I don't know if they even listen, if they understood this, do they have questions or not, are they fine, are they even there? You didn't know. So the second thing that happened was that the teachers started to ask, well, we want interactivity, we want to know what's coming back. So we found ways to get the connection back from the students to the teachers, and it is usually very individually that we make this connection back. From one student you get a question back, or from one student you get some comments back or an answer to a question. So that's the second stage that we actually got, where our education became more interactive and we got some more tools and skills to get at least this second kind of interaction back. But then the problem was that after that we still missed a lot of connections, because usually in the classroom there is a huge amount of interactivity between the students. This can be even the small things of asking your student which classes they are in, or which number of lecture, or which week, or when is this assignment due, or what am I supposed to do now, did you already study? So all this sort of interactions where students are highly sharing thoughts and experiences and learning situations, these are the hardest ones to get through. So this third layer, actually between students and together with them, get them get the sense back to the teacher again, this is the hardest layer to get. And I think we're still in the business of getting that one ready. So in between, I was already expecting some questions when I started writing this, and I see that there is one, which is what platform and or method was used for teacher-student communication. This can be all sorts of ways. So the suggestions here are already Blackboard, which is our learning management learning management system, which works fine. They can chat, they can ask questions during the lectures, just as we are doing now. Also email, but actually what the students in my case liked best is I give a lot of mathematics classes, and I want them to study at home, but I also know they get stuck at home. And usually in the classes they will come by my desk and ask, you know, I was trying this, how can I fix this, what am I doing wrong? So I put up a system where students, when they were practicing at home and they got stuck, they would take a photo of their assignment and send it to me. And that only did not make sure that they would have to do the work first by trying the assignment and make sure that they did a real effort before they sent me the picture. But also I could see what was going wrong. So I didn't just have to guess what the problem was. I could see what the problem was because it was right in front of me. And then I could do two things. I could, one, give them back feedback individually, like, you know, you typed in the wrong answer, or you forgot the brackets, or just something basic. I would just give them back, or think about this rule that you might want to apply. And if I thought this is a more basic question that more students will encounter, I would take a video and post it for all the students. So the student who sent me the question, of course, got the tailor-made answer back on video, but also the rest of the group, they got to listen in on this answer. They could just go and find if their assignment was already in there, which saved me a lot of time. Especially now that I'm doing this for the second year, I already have many of the basic questions already covered from last year, so I can just reuse them. And students also realized, hey, you know, I'm seeing all sorts of assignments getting there with videos, so other people can do this, are asking questions, so then I can just ask a question as well. I mean, if other students do that, then probably it's okay. So it really helped to get a lot of students across the threshold of asking questions and practice themselves and show what they actually were struggling with. And this also happened in class a lot. So its first year was a bit of an investment. I'm really happy I've got the videos now. I hardly have to do anything this year, and the students are happy and I'm happy too. And also in classes you can see this connection through different tools. I can see what my students are doing and give them feedback individually during the class when we're practicing, or I can just mention the whole group, you know, I see everybody struggling, maybe we should do one together, do you agree or not? And then we just go, and what happens is your lecture changes into a conversation instead of a lecture, which is really great to do. Still, getting the third part ready is hard, to get the students really in a situation where you can get this student-student interaction, because they feel nervous and shy, just as we as a student, as teachers do. So this is really hard. So what you really need to make sure is that the students feel safe to share their struggles. And this is something that you always have to work on in your classes. And you can't fix this in lecture one and think it's solved for the rest of the course. You will continuously have to create a safe environment where students feel that they can share their problems, and they know other students are also struggling, or maybe one knows the answer and is really willing to share it with the others. This is continuous work, not only technically but also socially, to get them ready to take these interactions, to put on a microphone, put on a camera, to put notes on a shared board, for example, because they have to expose their own situation, which is hard. So safety in the classroom is really important when it comes to this. And then of course we have the technical issues. There are lots of things that you can do, which is really great, with sharing screens, putting them in breakout groups, and really realize when you are thinking, you know, it's a lot of work and takes a lot of time, you really have these special third layer of interactions that will really help your students along. So it's really worth investing in this third layer. So now that I've told you about the 3 layers, I would like to show you how I implemented this and what I experienced in the honors program activities that I do. Yes, and I also see peer feedback, which is great to have implemented in your course and really valuable, and it's definitely something that is in the student-student interaction, which is really functional in your classes to get students motivated and empower them to learn, to know, okay, everybody else is struggling, so I am struggling too, let's just get it done, which really helps, and share ideas and solutions, which is great. When we look at the honors activities that I do, so we have the we had an existing honors program which already started way before Corona, and we continued it through Corona, and we will still continue it for another year. So this is the honors 1.1, which is our sort of old program. And now probably you've heard through the past 2 days already that in Groningen we're switching to a new program. There have already been 2 lectures from other speakers about this, but in this new program we are developing new modules, and actually I'm involved currently in 2 different modules. One is navigating your moral compass in a technical world, which is a module on ethics for students from engineering, life science and technology, and built environment. I will go into depth a little bit more later about this module. And then there's another one. Oh, and the timing is that we started right before Corona kicked in with the development. So we met each other physically only once, and the rest of the development was online. And then the second part, we actually started this course in February, which was still also in the lockdown, and we just finished it last Wednesday. So this is a completely developed and first time round, practice round was completely online. And now the second course that I'm also developing right now, which is in a new program, is titled Proving Your Teacher Wrong, which is about critical thinking. And we started the development during Corona, and we will start teaching it in September. So I have taken a guess that this will be finally behind Corona and in a more normal setting that we will teach this course. So with the first group, it was already an existing program, so not much change. We didn't have to develop new material. The community already existed for some of the students. Some new students did get in during Corona, and also the teachers. They already knew each other. We knew where to find each other, and we have now a small but stable group of students who are in this old program, and these students really are motivated. They tell us that they really enjoy the meetings, even though they are online. Their classmates are telling you why you're opting for extra online classes, but they say it's valuable. It's the time where actually we are among peers and with people who are also still motivated to learn and just not complain, but just get to work, and they really enjoy those meetings. And actually they got a lot of projects done even in the lab during Corona. So they did a lot of different things. Even though we did see the impact that at first, in the first month, we didn't have a lot of plan Bs taking into action, and even plan C were necessary because the labs were closed still, and a lot of companies and other customers were really focused on their own problems. So it was really hard to get new assignments and projects in. So it was really difficult to do lab work or visit places, which is really sad, but we managed still to get this progress. We did notice there was less interaction among students and teachers during Corona. Well, the second course is the new one. So the Ethics Lab is a course that we developed for first year students who in their second semester are trying if they really would like the honors program or not. So it's kind of a dry run. There's hardly any selection. Just if you want to participate, you can participate, and we'll just see where it goes. And then right now at the end of this first course, the students and the teachers decide whether you are up to the rest of the honors program or not. And the benefit is they already got 5 credits, so they already made a start with the honors program. So they started a little bit earlier, but they also really know much better what they are getting themselves into. And we did it with 3 different institutes, so life sciences together with engineering and built environment. And we as the developers, we didn't know each other really well. We met only once before we started. And actually we noticed in the development process that we really needed a lot of time to explore different teaching habits and professional cultures between the institutes, because even though we are in one building, a lot of things don't work the same way. And then actually when we got to the development, everything fell into place and we could really move on pretty fast. Then the execution, of course, it was in the middle of the tight lockdown in the Netherlands. So we had to first find students who were willing to enter the program, and we saw big differences between the different educations. So engineering has a lot of students that entered, and built environment and life sciences had much less than usual. And we noticed that some of the students really hesitated to join because they were still very worried about what they could do in the regular program, if they would not get behind because of all the online classes. So there was an extra hurdle to take to enter the honors program. So luckily we still have a side door. Students can still start as well in September. So I know at least one student is really seriously considering that, you know, when everything's normal, I can still start honors. The students only met online, so they're from different institutes, from different programs, so they didn't meet each other in real life for a really long time. And we also some students who dropped out just because of that, because the network that they really were hoping to build, yeah, everything was online, so they didn't get to visit interesting places. They didn't meet actually their students, just online. So that was hard on some students, even though some other students really visibly enjoyed it. So the most important lesson that we learned, especially because this was on ethics, you want to have in-depth debates and discussions and question rounds and really dive into something. It's hard to do that online. So it's just not the same. We tried a lot, but it just is not the same as the honors program and didn't meet all the expectations that we have from honors modules. Now the second one we started developing later on, which was Proving Your Teacher Wrong, and I'm developing this one together with professors from law and sociology, so a very diverse group. Also, these other developers, we didn't know each other well. The team also changed even during the development, and we found out that for us it's much more efficient to develop this one during physical meetings. We just get so much more done and much more in-depth connections than we would have online. So and I also noticed, because the ethics lab we started developing from scratch, it's much easier to just divide tasks. You know, you will look into this one, you will look into this one, and each goes its other, yeah, everybody goes its own way. And with this second course, we started to develop also from parts of existing courses. And then you have to really get into the other person's subject and material and sort through that and find connections. It's a totally different development process when you develop from existing parts than when you do from scratch. And even though it looks like from scratch is much harder to do, I really noticed that developing from existing parts requires a lot of more of testing, like, you know, what kind of your material do you want to keep in, what can other people do with that. It's much harder to get that done, actually, to get that into a nice fitting overall homogeneous material. And because of our experience that we already had with Corona, we really decided that we want to execute this one not online but offline, because we want to have debates, discussions, movie nights, and we really think that we should do this offline. So actually looking back at this Corona experiences and taking it back up one level more, there are two sides of the medal when it comes to online versus offline. So when you have online meetings, we notice it's much easier to fit these into schedules, especially when you have students all over the place, going to different buildings, being in different places, studying from home, and some are at school. It's just logistically much more easier to schedule meetings when they are online. You get much more people at the same place at the same time when it's online. And it's also really good possible to include students who are abroad, and especially our honors students, who are the students who really would like to be abroad more. So this could really be a solution for the future for students abroad to still participate in their honors program back here. It was also really easy to get guest lectures from other locations because they don't have any travel time, and schedules are much easier to get. And when we see when it goes about transfer of knowledge or easy conversations, it works fine and you can get the information through. And it's really handy to catch up with a group of students to hear what they're working on and do they have any problems or not, and quickly discuss the status quo. It's really easy to do this online. But there's another side to the medal, because if you want to have debates, if you want to have in-depth conversations, if you want to have discussions, it just is not the same when you do this online. And you also, it doesn't feel like really building up relationship. You still, when you meet each other in the hallway later on, it's like, did I see you before or not? It's just not the same kind of bonding that you get. And also the honors vibe, it's, yeah, we've met with this group twice offline. Now you see the vibe is there that was not there online. And also you can visit different sites. You just can go somewhere together and experience a different environment together. And also you have much better opportunities, especially for the third layer of interactions from students among themselves. You have much more of these interactions when you are offline. And also a really important point is less distractions, more focus. You really decide to be apart from the normal day life, sit together and focus on something in depth. And it really helps to get everybody in. So when I go back to this schedule, actually the 3 parts that are really important in the honors education, these are moments of quality time that you have with your honors students, and you really should value what you can do with these moments. Usually these students work a lot more independently, so you don't see them as often as your regular students, and you really should benefit from the contact time that you have. Value that it is quality time and use it this way. So looking from these lessons and experiences to the future, there are 3 things that you should keep in mind when designing new education. Because online education opens doors. It gives new opportunities to get lectures from around the world, connect students who are in different places, but it also closes doors. It limits what you can do in your meetings. So I think for the future we should make smart decisions on what you can do online and offline based on what your aim is and what your options are. I also put in this picture of cozy slippers versus outdoor sneakers. It is very convenient to sit behind the computer with your comfortable slippers on, be in your own home and place for a small discussion, but especially the honors students, they are curious to go into the world and see and experience. So with the honors students, you really want to put on those hiking shoes quite regularly and just take the walk together. And this is also something that we should choose more consciously. What you want with your meeting. Is it a meeting where you can keep your cozy slippers on, which is fine and great sometimes, but also there should be options to just take on your hiking shoes and go somewhere together. And I think the focus and attention really is an important part that we should not forget when doing our lectures. Sitting together, really focus on one subject, no phone, no internet, no distractions from other people in the room. It will really help you to get focus and in-depth discussions. So my main point, both as a regular teacher and as an honors teacher, is that I really think we should revalue physical contact time, while also appreciate the opportunities of online activities. We should have both, and we should really take the maximum advantages out of both types of contact time. And when we do this and really consciously make these discussions and take our experience and lessons learned and use them in the future, then I think we really can upgrade our contact time with these new insights. So that's really the lesson that I hope we can have for the future. So I don't know if there are any more questions about this.
Any questions at all for Jessica? Then maybe I have a question, Jessica. I'm actually I'm wondering if this applies to all of our students.
Which part?
Well, the what you're suggesting is have a good look at what you will be doing offline, what you'll be doing online. But I can imagine that, especially in honors, that we might have a type of student that really does not flourish online. They really need to have connection offline. Is that your
Yeah, well,
experience?
that's what I was showing, especially within the honors program. This quality time that you have, this is what makes the student motivated and keeps them in the program. So definitely the advantages of the offline experience are really important to the students because they want to go in depth. They want to see what their knowledge does to society. This is what they actually opted to do. So definitely it is hard. But then I do see a lot of projects that used to fail because of communication issues are going really well, because interdisciplinary projects, this means that a lot of time you just have to check in between to see how things are going. I've also seen students who took the laptop into the lab to talk to a student, you know, hey, I'm here in my lab, I'm doing this, go look along with me. Whereas usually this was really hard to do because the students were in other places in other times,
Yeah.
and now they
Yeah.
can just invite other students, also non students from outside our own institute. They can just have a visit in the lab and see what they're actually doing, and discuss, you know, should you do this in a different way. So when it comes to the cooperation in the interdisciplinary projects and just catching up and talking about the status quo of a shared project, it does give really good opportunities. So this is what I meant with sometimes it can just be really helpful to just check up with students. That's just much easier to organize. But when it comes to really the meetings that you have where you want to have these in-depth discussions and moral issues and really take them to a next thinking level, then I really think that we should do this offline.
Karine poses a really interesting question. Would this also apply to our regular students?
Well, I try to, I mean, all the aspects that I'm doing in my honors education, I try to also implement them in my regular classes. So I already showed in one of the first slides how I do all these steps in my normal classes as well. But with honors, you really have the chance, because you don't have the obligation to get certain skills or knowledge across to the students. You have much more freedom to invest in the other parts, and the lessons that I learned there and the things that work well, we really try to implement into our regular program as well. So we really try to be the playground, but also the test ground for our regular program, and the things that work well there we take along to our regular program. But I still think with the freedom that you have in the honors program to really go your way and not be bounded by any sorts of guidelines on what you really should or should not teach, it gives so much more freedom, and then the valuable lessons you try to take along to your regular education.
No, I think I totally agree in the difference I see with my honor students. It's not, I'm not really that different. It's the interaction that you have.
Yeah.
The preset of the honor students is different than the regular student.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, but you also start with the honor students, you start with the assumption, like, you know, you can get your knowledge and skills if you need them. You know, you go find a MOOC, you go visit somewhere, you talk to another student, you find a book, you know, whatever way they do this, you already can trust on a solid base of knowledge and skills that is already there. And in your honors program, you build on top of that, and get these higher levels out of that. So that is different from what you have to do in the regular program.
Yeah, exactly. Mark has a suggestion, I think, but concerning assessment. Is there a difference there?
Well, I think the assessment really lies with portfolio build-up. And then you have an assessment interview, of course, with the student. So actually, it's already a different kind of assessment than we usually have in our regular program. I think because the portfolio was already something that the student did and it just shares with you, that won't make much difference. I would really hesitate to have an assessment interview online. I mean, sometimes, you know, if a student is abroad, it could be fine, but you really give feedback on personal things. And I really would not feel very comfortable doing that online. It can work, but actually we didn't change the assessment style in any way actually during the process. So there's not something like that I would keep or not keep, I think. Just, yeah, I think, yeah.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
I had a little discussion last Wednesday with my colleague from dietetics, and they just changed their whole curriculum for the regular students to something that really starts with a real problem. And from the real problem, they have to start looking for knowledge, information, etc., that they need to solve this problem. But she was very hesitating whether that would work for first year students. And I agree with her, I think, and I also mentioned the starting point with honors students or regular students is different because the honors students already know what they want, and the regular students have to be, yeah, how to say, warmed up or become aware of what they want. So I think it is a very tricky thing to start in that way. What do you think about that?
I think again it lies with the assumption that you can make or not make about whether the student already has knowledge and skills that he can use. You know, when you've had your student in your program for about a year, you already know the basic sets of skills and knowledge that this student has. And when you have first year students who are just in, you just don't know, and they also don't know what is expected from their basic knowledge and skills already. So that will make them really insecure about what they should or should not contribute to the project, I think. And with honors, we already have this assumption that knowledge and skills are being provided in the regular program, and then you can do the projects on top. And what we do with the projects in the honors program is it doesn't really matter what kind of knowledge and skills they acquire. It matters that they learn how to get knowledge, that they learn how to get skills, and that they really experience what goes wrong and how they can learn from their mistakes and persevere. And those are the kind of skills that you really want to have in the honors program, and you don't want to give them a basis of knowledge and skills. And in your regular program, if you do a project, you do have some kind of requirements in the end that you should know this and this and this and this from your project. So I think that's again a difference in what you can assume that the student already has in-house, and also the aim that you have. Do you want to transfer knowledge and skills, or do you want to take the more higher levels of learning and reflecting on your own learning journey? So I think that's again different.
It also has to do with conditioning, I think, because many of our students have to learn to become independent thinkers and not just following trying to come up to the task that they are have to perform. And that is also a process that they have to go through. So I think that's also different for regular students.
Yeah, but we also still want to emphasize in our school that an honor student and an excellent student aren't always the same student. They are not the same group of students, because you can have excellent students in the regular program that do everything that is expected from them and learn everything by heart and answer the questions that are posed there to get the knowledge and the skills, but they don't have the motivation or the skills to build up their own learning journey. And the other way around, you can have students that are really good in finding their own learning journey and reflecting and hit their nose 10 times and still go on, which you really need for the honors program. And they might just be normal students in the regular program. They are not the same. So I think this is also something that, you know, comes together with that. An honor student requires skills to be able to look at yourself and follow your interests and set examples and pioneer in ways that you don't have to do in a regular program.
I also think it has to do with nurturing their curiosity.
Yeah.
They have it, and it's our job to have them keep it.
Yeah,
And,
they are already moving, and you just can
yeah.
help them find different ways in moving, and that really helps. Yeah, but they need to start moving. Doesn't matter which direction, but if they
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
move, they can't come into the honors program.
You can see my background. I have a Lego pirate ship here, and I would say the regular student follows the instruction, and the honor student just wants to see what they can build with the blocks.
Yeah, yeah. We do the same thing, you know, in a regular program. We give them a recipe book, and they cook the different recipes. They can choose recipes, but they do it from the book. And then in honors, we just shove them into the kitchen, and we tell them, you know, go do whatever you like. So it's a really different mindset that you have.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I see we have 3 minutes left. Is there someone has a last burning question that they want to ask or remark they want to give?
Jeroen, I have a question
Peter,
for
yeah.
Jessica. Peter, it's about community building. You had experiences now in your pilot lab about ethics, and next year you have a new chance to fill it in. And you know, community building, it's a very important issue in honors education at our university. So how do you, in the ideal situation, how do you fill it in? What is necessary to build a strong community when you have combinations of online and offline sessions? And the other question is, what do students think about this?
Yeah, well, it was really interesting to see, because with the ethics lab that we just finished, we had almost all meetings online. So we did only get to see each other digitally, and then the last 2 meetings were offline because we were preparing debate night, and we were actually doing the debate night. And the potential of this really honest vibe during community meetings, it really must have been there, because from the first minute we were in a room together physically, the honest vibe was there and everybody was in. And of course we didn't know each other's name and who was where exactly. We didn't know each other as well as we should have, as we could have if we had met physically, but the vibe was there. So the potential already was there in the group, and as soon as they met offline, this vibe popped up and you really saw them enjoy and get everything out of it. So I think the potential is there even when you are limited to online meetings, but you only see it really happen when you are offline. So I think we should really find a balance, and especially at first you want to have them get that sense of this is really honors, then you should have offline meetings. You should physically meet to get the vibe in the group, because then you can really translate it to online and realize, okay, the vibe must be there. I mean, I know it is there when you have a group of honest students, but the students who started never experienced this vibe. They only saw that in the last 2 meetings. And so I think especially when you start, you should get that vibe in the group, and then you can have some convenient checkups online and discuss things and get things done that need to get done. And then in the end, of course, a celebration when you've finished or when things are hard, you should definitely meet offline again. But I really, yeah, for the future, I really would like to really get more out of these offline meetings. We should really go to places much more often, or yeah, experiences things together, really put on these hiking shoes much more than we used to do before Corona.